Alright, welcome back to the show today. Today I am talking about why I believe NBA teams have a problem with placing talent above availability. Teams seem infatuated with their star players and will do anything to retain them and keep them happy. So I believe there is a glaring paradox in the league, where teams obviously value winning, so they get a star player to help them win. But they lose focus on winning and their focus becomes keeping their star player. They lose track of the greater goal and become one-track minded, believing their star player is the only pathway to success. If this sounds like it's a larger metaphor for life, it is. The first thing I want to talk about is the 2023 Miami Heat playoff team. This is a team full of undrafted and buyout players that made it to the NBA Finals, beating the number 1 and number 2 seeded teams in the East. Kevin Love was a guy that was bought out by the Cleveland Cavaliers this year and signed a vet minimum deal with the Heat. Kevin Love started in the NBA Finals. The Cavs let Love go to save a little bit of money. So my point being, perception of talent is not objective. If you are in the front office of any NBA team, you are paid a lot of money for your unique skill of being able to recognize talent and compatibility. I cast a lot of judgment on the Cleveland Cavaliers front office when they let a player go for nothing who then started in the finals while their team was knocked out in the first round. Now let's talk about Gabe, Vincent, and Max Strus, two guys whose names people aren't learning, but they also started in the finals as well. Both of these guys are undrafted players and have been in the Heat's starting lineup for 2 years. Max Strus made $1.7 million this year, and Gabe Vincent also made $1.7 million. These are minimum contracts. Just for reference, Bradley Beal made 12 times as much of both of their contracts put together. Caleb Martin was cut by the Hornets before the Heat picked him up. Cody Zeller was waived by the Jazz and picked up by the Heat in February. That means the Jazz let him walk for nothing just so they could free up a roster spot. Cody Zeller got some minutes in the playoffs. He played in the finals. I don't use this term flippantly. It was amazing what the Heat did with the roster they had. All those dudes were locked in and they played their tushes off. This is a testament to what a human being can accomplish when they have something to prove. Max and Gabe are both free agents right now, and somebody better pay them a lot of money, or I'm gonna be very upset on their behalf, because I'm a very empathetic guy. Before I move on from the Heat, I want to talk about Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry played really dirty in the finals, but only because he had to. Usually that kind of play gets me fuming, but not this time. Lowry wasn't trying to end anyone's career, but he took some risks just so that the Heat stood a chance against the Denver Nuggets. That Nuggets team was an incredible team. Think about it, they only lost 4 games in the entire playoffs. So respect to Kyle Lowry for playing his juicy off. Another player that I think gave everything he had was Jimmy Butler, of course. This is just a feeling I have, but I think Jimmy was injured during the playoffs. I think he played through it. So obviously I listen to a lot of basketball media, probably you do too, and there were a lot of people asking the question after the first round of the playoffs, when is Jimmy just gonna take a game over? I think Jimmy was just gassed out and he didn't have it in him, but he still went on the court and gave it what he did have. I think Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat should be incredibly proud of themselves. I know that's not a super hot take, but I don't think we talk about the Miami Heat season enough. I'm interested to see if any general managers take a lesson from the Miami Heat this year. Maybe you don't need 3 players making $50 million each to win a championship. In fact, maybe that ensures that you fail, because when you pay a player a third of the allotted payroll and tell him he's a star, you can't blame him when he thinks he's a star. So the first team I want to talk about is the Phoenix Suns. Right now it's the summer of 2023 and the Phoenix Suns have just acquired Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards. I don't believe this is gonna work, and here's why. Beal is due $46 million next year, making him the highest paid player on the Phoenix Suns. He's paid more than Kevin Durant, and he's paid more than Devin Booker. The Suns have 3 players who have reason to believe that they deserve priority treatment on this team. Booker has the most guaranteed money, which means the Suns believe he's the future of the team. Durant has the best resume, and probably in a single game vacuum, he's the best player. And Beal makes the most money. All these guys are going to want things to be their way, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. And if they were on their own teams, they would get their way. Beal signed a deal with the Washington Wizards, and he got a no trade clause and was for $50 million a year. Beal's made like 2 All-NBA teams. No, that. Bradley Beal's made 1 All-NBA team. That's unreal. I think we're gonna see the same thing happen that we just saw happen with the Brooklyn Nets. A lot of individual talent, but also a lot of toxicity and unwillingness to serve a higher purpose. Not to mention the salary of just those 3 guys puts them over the salary cap. That's not even including DeAndre Ayton's max contract. The Suns have no money to keep or sign their role players. I think Matt Ishbia wanted to come in, be the new owner, and make a big splash. He wanted hot star players and he got them. Now he's gonna be hard capped and paying a lot out of luxury tax for the next couple years. But he's rich, he'll be fine. A common pitfall I see in teams is paying a player for his peak and ignoring his valley. It feels like more often than not, if a guy is eligible for a supermax, he's gonna get it, whether he's worth the money or not. Beal, Cat, Russ, John Wall, Damian Lillard, all great players. And if you look at snapshots from their peak, yeah, they deserve 35% of the salary cap. But if you value these players based on availability and production of what they did game to game, having their contracts eat up 35% of the payroll is gonna put your team in NBA team purgatory, in the middle for years to come. Dame and Beal wonder why their teams haven't gone anywhere with them. I think they should look at their team's payroll and ask the question, am I really worth that much more than my teammates? In my opinion, the only players that I think deserve a supermax level of money is Jokic, Giannis, and Curry, because they delivered. Let's take a current situation this summer. Jaylen Brown is eligible for a supermax extension with the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown is a great player, but the Celtics cannot sign him to a supermax. Brown isn't even the best player on the Celtics, let alone one of the top 1-2 guys in the league. But he made an all-NBA team, so he believes he's worth it. Everyone in his life is gonna tell him he's worth it, especially his agent. He's gonna demand it. The Celtics cannot afford to pay a player that can only drive that much money. The Celtics are most definitely going to trade him to a team that can't offer him that much money next year. Let's say maybe the Rockets. People are talking about that. The Rockets next summer can say to Brown, hey, we would have offered you the supermax. We would have totally done it. You're the best player in the league. They can say very nice things to Brown without having their bluff being called. These guys did not get to this point in their careers by not believing that they are the greatest. I'm sure Brown thinks he's near the same level as Giannis or Jokic, and I think that's somewhat healthy for him to believe. The last player I want to talk about is Zion Williamson. Zion is a mirage in the desert. Zion is the singing frog in the Warner Brothers cartoon. Zion is a top 5 player in the league, but he doesn't play that much. In 4 seasons, he's played 114 games. Hope kills teams even more than ego kills teams. Hope will destroy you. You will ignore the past and history for something more positive, like hope for the future. If this still sounds like a larger metaphor for life, still is. I have no reason to believe that Zion Williamson becomes more available in the future. I can only assume that with age, he becomes more injury prone. I'm inferring a lot on this, but when I heard CJ McCollum on Ryan Russillo's podcast, I got the feeling CJ is disappointed with Zion's lack of focus and the amount of money he takes up for that team. Again, this was the subtext of what I was listening to. He didn't say that. I think regardless of talent level, if you have bitterness and dissent in your organization, you gotta take care of that shit quick. You need to do whatever you can to build trust and cohesiveness. David Griffin and the Pelicans need to have respect for themselves and respect for the players on their team and trade Zion. And get someone who is committed to the organization and being the best player that they can possibly be. People say that someone like Scoot Henderson, that's the word on the street. In conclusion, I want to play a quick clip of Pat Beverly and Karl Anthony Towns talking about winning a play-in game in 2022.
It was a reason the Denver Nuggets won a championship.
It was more special what we did in Minnesota because we had like a month, and then we had training camp, and it was like, you better figure it all out right now. And we really figured it out quick. Think about it. They had what? Jokic been in the league
4 years.
If you think about it, 4 years, we got it done in 4 months.
Right.
Friends, don't let friends delude each other like this. These men are living in a different reality than the rest of us. So make sure you don't keep too many yes people in your life. And make sure you always value people that give you constructive criticism. All right, well, that's it. Thanks for watching the show. Right now, the draft just happened, and Zion wasn't traded for Scoot Henderson. That didn't happen, but maybe it will. So who knows? Thanks for being here. Eat a corn dog. Much love. Be good to your mother.